The current geopolitical climate is really causing some fairly significant shifts, but not necessarily in the areas where you would maybe expect them or for the reasons you expect them. The big thing right now is travellers in terms of where they are and where they're going. So when you look at the Middle East and you look at potentially traffic reducing there during March, for example, during April, those travellers, if they're still travelling, are going elsewhere or travelling via different routes, which would mean that those nationalities are going in different airports to those same places or to different places. Whenever you have a different mix of travellers, the behaviour changes as well. Nationalities are the biggest shift that you see, or the biggest dynamic that you have in shopper behaviour. So wherever you see that passenger profile change, you will see differences in spend, differences in categories of interest, differences in terms of purchasing styles, footfall levels and all of that side of things. So where you have all of that capacity in the Middle East, you can't obviously fill it everywhere else in the world, but where you have certain nationalities that are now travelling maybe throughout Europe more, throughout the Nordics, that side of things, or maybe going further direct, that's going to have a big impact. The other thing that we're going to see probably is spending power. As fuel costs go up, the amount of disposable income is likely to go down, or the travel expenses likely to go down. From a leisure perspective, it may mean that they're not quite as able to spend the same amount as they maybe once did. It may not be the case, but it may be that if they're spending more on the flight, they may maybe reduce expenditure on locations, that side of things, but also in terms of retail as well, maybe in destination, but also in duty free. The other factor with that is from a business perspective, when you think about business flights and business budgets, just because there's a major crisis in the Middle East doesn't mean that travel budgets suddenly get increased. So what you're looking at there is that if there was a particular travel budget that back in February could account for maybe 10 trips, if price has doubled, that can now account for 5 trips. So you'll see the business travel just fluctuating as well, which again has an impact on the passenger profile, an impact on some of the trends that you see in the airport, and then an impact on purchasing behaviours and spending power and all that side of things. When you're looking at value now, it's multifaceted. You're always going to have the pricing element. It's always going to be, is it a good price? But that's a perception, basically. So is it a good price within the context of other locations or other channels, but also does it offer something different? And with that, that's where a new kind of lens of value is very, very much coming through. Or it's not necessarily a new lens, but a alternative lens of value is coming through. We're seeing increasingly how differentiation is being a major, major driver to purchasing. It's something that's really come about since COVID. You've basically got kind of two broad groups of shoppers. You've got your first group of shoppers who want to go and buy the same products that they do at home, but at a cheaper price. Or you've got the shoppers that come to travel retail to look for something a bit new, look for something to experiment with, looking for something to differentiate with. Pre-COVID, it was about 60-40. Now it's about 40-60. So we've seen this big shift in terms of shoppers coming to the channel, looking for something new, looking to experience things that they can't necessarily get domestically. And that's not just due to exclusives, limited editions, that side of things, but it's also like location-specific items. So in terms of value and evolution, price is always going to play a major part of it, but what we're also seeing is that increasingly so, that differentiation is coming through as a major consideration of value and whether a product is worth the price tag, basically. I think the biggest opportunity to move the dial with travel retail is the people that are not in the store. So when you look at the people in the store, what we generally see is on average footfall of around 40%. It differs by region, it'll be higher in Asia Pacific, it's lower in Europe, for example. However, when you look at that 40%, what we have is 60% of people in the airport that are not engaging with the range and not engaging with the environment, not getting involved in travel retail. So the big thing that we can do is really try and have more people at the top of the funnel, get those more people into the store in the first place. And if we can maintain levels of conversion that we already see then it has a massive, massive effect, far more so than stealing a percentage point of market share here or there.